Okay, there you go. So I see the first slide now.
Yay.
So just a little bit about Yvonne, or about our speaker. So Yvonne has over 25 years of counseling experience and has worked with adults, children, families, and groups. She has her master's in psychology and has completed certification programs in health and wellness coaching, life coaching, and fitness trainer education. We're very excited to hear her speak on the wellness matrix. So without further ado, Yvonne, if you can just go to the next slide for me. Yvonne?
Yes, the next.
Oh, can you, if you can go to the next slide if possible?
I don't know which slide you're seeing.
Oh, right now I'm still seeing just the sovereign title page.
Okay. So I don't know if there's a delay issue, or are you still seeing that same screen?
Yeah.
Let's try this. See a different slide yet?
There you go. That's the third slide. But is there one? I mean, we can start here. I wanted to tell you a little bit about Sovereign Health. So we are a licensed residential facility located in San Clemente and Culver City. And we have specialized treatment in dual diagnosis, mental health, and eating disorders for adults. And you can call our admissions at that number or look on our site at sovereignhealth.com.
All right. Are you seeing the slides changing now?
Yes. Thank you so much,
great.
Yvonne. Yes, so without further ado, please welcome Yvonne.
Great. Thank you. Glad to be here. And this is just something, I like lots of quotes, so you'll see a few quotes through my presentation. But this is one that ties into my business perfectly, about health as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity, which is from the World Health Organization. And just to kind of give you a heads up on what I'm going to be covering, I'd like to tell you a little bit about how I came about to the ultimate wellness matrix, sort of a few little tidbits about my experience and my wellness discovery, and then I'll go ahead and cover the 6 primary elements, and then the ultimate wellness matrix itself, as well as some possible uses with clients, and then just some conclusions, and then a little bit of time for some Q&A. So welcome. I know Alana already welcomed you, but I want to personally welcome you. And just kind of, I know when I'm a participant in these kind of things, I just kind of got to get myself in a space where I'm ready. So I just want to give you some time to just get yourself ready, you know, get whatever you need out to take notes, whatever you're going to do, cut off any distractions, that sort of thing. And then I just want you to think about what's your intention, what do you want to get from this? And that'll help steer the course for you as well, and hopefully for you to receive the most value from it. And just to let you know what my intention is just to provide you with some tools and some ways to better serve your clients. And actually some of these ways are probably not necessarily new to you either, so it's also to remind you of those ways. I know when I've been through trainings that a lot of times it's just getting reminded of some of the tools that I already knew about but just hadn't been using for a while. All right. So just a little bit about where I'm coming from as far as Alana told you a little bit about my experience working. I've worked in the mental health field for over 25 years and worked in a variety of settings. But one of the last places I've worked was one of the major turning points for me. and that was running a homeless shelter and transitional housing program in Orange County. And with that, I really started to look at, where would I be if I were homeless? And we even had a volunteer that did a therapy group with them every week who would remind us every so often that, most people in Orange County and maybe even throughout the country are 1 or 2 paychecks away from being homeless themselves. So I started to really reflect on my own life and where I wanted to be long term as well. Here I was seeing people younger than me, older than me, having to just completely start over. And so I started to think about where I wanted to be in my retirement, where I wanted to be in my business, and in my health, and my relationships. And so with that, I started to study the financial industry because, money was a big factor as far as, let's see, I'm trying to think who says it. It's not, I think it's Jim Rohn. His saying is, yeah, money's not the most important thing, but it ranks right up there with the oxygen, right? So it's like, that's a pretty important factor in our life. So I started to study financial concepts and investing and looking at creating a future for myself or a retirement that was a reality versus just wishful thinking. And so with that, I started to read different books and be around different mentors. And one of the things that came through that is focusing also on my physical health. So I was overweight for many years and struggled with that. And so when I started to shift my thinking about, what I wanted my future to be like, I knew that I had to do things differently. So that's what those mentors helped me with, is looking at what do I need to do today to create the reality of my future, because at that point it was just wishful thinking. So I started to make some changes in my thinking to create the future of my reality versus just wishful thinking. So I started to work out, eat a little differently, just saw myself differently. And then through that is how I came about discovering coaching, the coaching business, because I still wanted to help people, but I didn't necessarily want to do it in the counseling profession. And when I figured out how to create permanent change in my life through figuring out a system for myself to lose weight and keep it off, and with that came another set of assets as far as mentally, socially. My friends shifted, my relationship shifted, my mentor shifted. It's like all these areas, my self-esteem shifted when I started to work on myself internally and then created a change externally. So with coaching, I saw that as a way to help people create that involution before we can actually have the evolution. So I could still help people, but it was just not necessarily in the counseling industry. But coaching it does come from the counseling industry because it's from positive psychology. So I started to focus on what's right with people and what their strengths are, and that was something I learned early on from one of my mentors from a nonprofit I worked at years ago. So I just incorporated that into my coaching, and so that's kind of where I'm at, is looking at where can I help people build on their strengths. And so as far as the 6 primary elements, or lifestyle areas is what I've called them before as well, is your mental and physical and social. So my company is called 3 Degrees of Wellness because and it's the mental, physical, social. And an easy way to kind of remember all 6 is that our mental is also part of our intellectual development and wellness. Our physical, money is finances are something tangible, physical that we can touch. And then socially, our relationships have a lot to do with our spirituality as well. So that's kind of that's the way I break it down and make it easy to remember, is your mental, physical, social, and then with your mental, you think intellectual, physical, financial, social, and spiritual. So I'm going to go over some definitions here. So the mental wellness is a relative state of mind in which a person is able to cope with and adjust to the recurrent stresses of everyday living in an acceptable way. And I know this is probably a little redundant because most of you are in the mental health field, so you already have a sense of what mental wellness should look like. You know, you're doing things with clients to help them develop that. And I see it all, they're like muscles, each one of these. And just like when we go to a gym to develop our strength training and develop more muscles, and it takes time and practice, and we got to do the same movements or the same affirmations over and over again to get to that point. And as far as our intellectual wellness, means being open to new ideas and experiences. It is the desire to continue learning while stimulating and challenging your mind. It is the determination to expand your knowledge and improve your skills for a healthy lifestyle. So I see that as, what sort of input are we allowing into our lives? I ask clients all the time, what are you reading? What do you spend most of your time doing as far as media influences and things like that affect our intellectual wellness? And as you know, all these things, there is overlap and intertwine, and they're all connected. So when you're working on one area, it's going to enhance another. So your intellectual wellness can improve your mental and emotional wellness because you're taking in things into your mind that are stimulating, that are interesting, that help you grow intellectually. And then your physical wellness, that one's pretty easy because as far as we can see it anyway, but freedom from disease, pain, or defect. The physical benefits of looking good and feeling healthy most often lead to the psychological benefits of enhanced self-esteem, self-control, determination, and a sense of direction. And I think that's, this kind of covers everything. When we get our physical wellness in tune, that's what I saw happen for me, is when I got a handle on how to be a healthy weight and stay a healthy weight, it changed so many things in so many areas in my life. The psychological benefits they're phenomenal. It's almost magical how it happens. And just having that sense of my worth, and it was really, I know it was one of the things that I found really interesting in changing my perception and my identity about myself is that, when I was heavy, it was like, okay, well, I'm just big boned, or, this is just part of my heredity. That's, my aunts are big, they're heavy, that's just how I'm going to be. And then when I lost weight and I started buying different size clothes, that was a little strange to me, to go from extra large to medium, and then to hear people look at me and see me as thin. I remember the first time someone saying, "Oh, you're petite." I had to pause and look around, thinking surely they're not talking to me. It must be somebody else. It's getting comfortable too with that new identity. And financial fitness. So according to mint.com, it is defined by 5 personal finance principles. So know your money, spend less than you earn, use debt wisely, invest your savings, and prepare for the unexpected. And financial fitness, you know, that was something I learned a lot about. Like I said, I started to study the financial industry. I even got my securities license at one point, and I learned, you know, what I'd like to say, some basics and some things that I wish that we all learned in college, high school even, and learning about these concepts to help people and how it's all connected. You know, we find that we spend emotionally. You know, money a lot of times is tied up in other areas regarding addiction, and even our physical health is affected financially when we're under financial stress. You know, we feel it physically. So that's a really important aspect for people to have a sense of control over. And then our social wellness refers to one's ability to interact with people around them. It involves using good communication skills, having meaningful relationships, respecting yourself and others, and creating a support system that includes family members and friends. And I know when I worked in the mental health field, this was something that showed up right away as far as those that had the greatest success in maintaining their health and wellness mentally and emotionally were those that had the best support systems. You know, their family was pretty healthy, or they were involved in the treatment process, so they got themselves in a better mental space to support the family members' recovery as well, and just having that sense of support. I noticed that made a big difference for people. And then, of course, the spiritual wellness, which is, I think, I consider it to be at the foundation of the 12-step program, is the whole essence of the higher power. And I hear a lot of people talk about meditating every day and how that makes a difference for them. So your spiritual wellness involves seeking meaning and purpose in human existence. It includes the development of a deep appreciation for the depth and expanse of life, and the natural forces that exist in the universe. So helping people just really think outside themselves, and that there's something bigger. And your spiritual wellness is something that is a very personal relationship, and it's also how we connect with others, our sense of community. So I'm going to go over the 6 primary elements, and under each primary element there are 2 sub-elements. So with your mental or emotional wellness, I have that split up into 2 categories as far as your mental health, and then the resources that you have available to support your mental health as well. And then as far as intellectual, of course it's your personal growth, your self-growth, things that you're doing, and fun. And I think as adults, we forget that. I mean, children, they spend most of their day having fun and playing. And they do that because that's their way to learn and to grow. And it's something that doesn't need to stop. It's still ways that we learn and grow. It's when we incorporate fun and have some balance in our life in that way. And create fun challenges as well. So that's part of our intellectual wellness. And then for physical wellness, you know, besides just your physical body, also your physical environment, your surroundings, you know, your home, what's your environment, your office, what does your office look like, your workspace, your neighborhood, your community. Those are all part of your physical environment. And then for financial, it's your job or your career, where your source of money is coming from, basically, and then how you manage that money, what you do with it. where you spend it. Whether you spend it in savings accounts or you spend it at the mall shopping. And then your social wellness would be your relationships, family, close friends. There's friends that are closer than family a lot of times. So, that category, as well as even just more kind of surface friendships or associations, work friends, that sort of thing, a different level of the relationship there. And then your spiritual wellness, like I said, it's a very personal connection, and then also what you do in your community. A lot of people will volunteer. So what sorts of things are you involved in community-wise that support your spiritual wellness? And this was something, you see, the wellness wheel was something that sorry, I have my other notes here. Okay. One of the references that this wellness wheel is from, and I fashioned it to fit all the categories that I came up with, is from a book called Wellness Coaching for Lasting Lifestyle Change by Michael Arlosky. So he uses this a lot. So this is one way to help clients visualize their wellness, as far as rating each area on a scale of 1 to 10, and then you just draw a line across, with job, career. Let's say it's at a 5, you draw a line there. Money may be at a 3, so you draw a line right around where 3 would be, and you do that in each area, and you could kind of see what your circle now looks like in each area. And obviously the circle that's balanced and doing the best is on the outer numbers and is a smooth circle, and it just kind of helps give people that visual of where the areas are that maybe they want to work on. And that's the other aspect of utilizing this, is having, I have the client themselves, give their ratings. And I know when I worked in counseling, it was more about me having the tools or utilizing certain things where I gave the client ratings on where I thought they were. And I like this because this empowers the client to see where they're at themselves, not just my opinion of where they're at, but they can see where they're at. So I use this as a visual for them to kind of see where they're at. And again, like I said, to draw on the strengths. They can also see where their strengths are, and really pull from those to build up some of the other areas. And one of the things that's why I work in the field, human behavior fascinates me, but one of the things that fascinates me about this is a lot of times, you would think that wherever they gave themselves the lowest ratings, those would be the areas that they want to work on first, or they want to concentrate on working on. And very rarely do they pick the areas where they have the lowest score. So I just always found that interesting. And quote by Albert Einstein. So this was a good example of why I have them give themselves their ratings, so that they can kind of see where they're at and give their mind the opportunity to stretch beyond what they've been thinking about themselves. And so I utilize this tool as really, I call it their goal plan. And I know when I worked in the field, we called it a treatment plan. I used to use, when I worked with families at high risk for abuse, we used what was called a family assessment form. When I ran the homeless shelter, it was called the case management plan. And I don't know what kind of names you all have for the they're basically goal plans, but whatever you use right now to help a client get to the next level. So what do they have in common? You know, when I was thinking about this, it's like, okay, what do goals really do? Goals and these treatment plans, the better they are is they have all these things in common. They're clear, they're concise, they're measurable. You know, at least this is what I was taught when I was doing case management, you know, to make it something that was a measurable goal or objective. And there's usually a due date. You know, I know a lot of people that train on goal setting, they talk about having a date, having, you know, the date when you want to achieve something. And, you know, in treatment, it was, you know, usually coincided with their, however long the program is, was usually the due date was somewhere in there. And then the other very important piece is the accountability. You know, they're checking in with their therapist, they're checking in with their case manager, checking in with their coach, their sponsor, whoever it is, some sense of accountability. And it helps us stay on track. It helps us to stay focused. So I just basically broke it down into SMART goals. This is how I work with it, and I'm sure many of you have heard this before. I kind of changed a few of the words to fit my style. So, you know, again, it's specific, it's measurable, it's actionable. You know, and I change. I think I forget what the A is for in the original SMART Goals acronym, but I changed it to actionable because I want people to have that sense of you got to do something differently. You got to change your behavior, and it's you personally that has to take the action. You know, you can't have someone else do your push-ups for you and expect to get stronger and healthier. And then the R is another one I changed. I think it's realistic. And I changed it to relevant because I think sometimes, I know why the realistic is there. It's realistic. Sometimes we make something too big for ourselves and then get disappointed and then give up and say, oh, I don't want to, you know, goals are stupid, I don't want to do this. But yet realistic, and also sometimes you make it too easy for yourself too. And realistic, if people always thought realistically, we probably wouldn't have a lot of the great inventions we have today. It was people thinking beyond what, you know, what you could physically see. So I want it to be relevant to that client's dreams and wishes, and, you know, what they're passionate about, relevant to them in their life. And then, of course, with the due date, to have some sort of time frame to it. So this is what the matrix looks like. I just kind of broke it up into two boxes here for people to write in their goals or type them in. It depends on what format I send it to them in. And just to give you a definition of a matrix, it's something that constitutes the place or point from which something else originates, takes form, or develops. So this is, it's that plan, that place where they can develop their life. They can develop areas in their life that support their dreams and goals. And one of the things is one of the definitions that goes along with matrix is also calling it a womb. You know, womb is where birth happens, where growth happens. And so that's where I see this tool as being a place where they can create something and develop something, and they can change it too anytime they want. So I think this might be from the movie The Matrix. Free choices become the matrix of human life. So again, it's getting their involvement, getting them excited about the ability to choose and create their life how they want it. And with that, when you have that ability, you know, it's like getting them tapped into their purpose in life. So the more intensely we feel about an idea or a goal, the more assuredly the idea, buried deep in our subconscious, will direct us along the path to its fulfillment. So this ties in with what I said earlier about the client's involvement in it. You know, I've done it both ways, where, and I still sort of do, but I mean, I'm guiding the client to have some level of commitment to the goal, where am I creating this goal? Is this a goal I have for the person, or is this a goal that they're creating for themselves? And as you know, when the more investment they have in creating it themselves, the more committed they are to making it happen. So I really want to get their participation in it. And just want to let you know, these are some of the things that I offer as far as coaching services. I have the one-on-one coaching that I do with people, and this is for people that have completed a treatment center, treatment program, because it doesn't work too well for people that are new to treatment. You know, as you know, they're sorting out all kinds of things. The brain fog still hasn't lifted a lot of times. So coaching is not real effective with people that are in that space. And or also if they have a lot of therapy issues that they still need to work through, you know, that's not a good coaching client. And obviously they got to be highly motivated, you know, motivated to change. And those are the people that benefit the most from coaching. So I don't take on every person that wants to work with me. They have to really meet a certain criteria. And I will work concurrently with someone that's in therapy. I will take them on as a client as well if you know, they agree to sign a release form, so that way the therapist can have the information that I'm working with them on to help them, and just, you know, make it a better situation for the client. And then the other thing, as far as the 12-week Ultimate Wellness course, that's related to the matrix. I mean, I go in depth into each of those areas and work with the clients, you know, in depth on each area. So we focus each week on a different wellness area. And that is something, again, for clients that have, you know, every treatment center kind of has a different verbiage for it, but basically they're at least at phase 2 in their recovery. They've already completed 30 days of treatment, or you know, they've already had some time of sobriety and some therapy and some things, you know. So again, it's like, yeah, I'm not working with them right when they're newly sober. That's not going to help them. So you know, this is something to help keep them on that path, and then just strengthen that foundation that they started, and to help them stay on the path of recovery. And I also have a couple books. Today is Your Day is collaboration with other coaches. That book's available. And then I have a new book coming out, Change Your World, Your Path to Ultimate Wellness. And I don't know how you could get me your email, but anyone that's interested, I'm going to be doing a pre-launch of that book next month. And, you know, this is as much for you as for your clients as well, as just remember to dream big and take action. So we are most alive when we are actively in pursuit of our dreams. And I just wanted to throw that out there to remind you. And let's see, something along the lines of the dream in the Matrix is being in a dream world where one can make happen anything one wants. And that's what I really see the Matrix power being about, is putting people in that dream world that they can make a reality. So it looks like I have some time here for questions. Now, I have a lot more material, but it's hard to cover with the... Oh, I'm in here. I can share this with you all. That's what I'm going to do. I've got some bonus material here. I'll just get to it.
Yeah, Yvonne, this is Alana. You still have 15 minutes before question and answer, so know that you have some.
Here we go. Okay. I'm going to go over this then. This is something really awesome that I recently came across. It was a TED Talks presentation. I love TED Talks. If you haven't heard any of them, I recommend checking them out. You can probably YouTube it. But this person gave a talk on, she's actually a game designer. Her name is Jane McGonigal. And she gave a talk on helping people feel better emotionally. And she actually created a game. I haven't used it yet. I kind of took a look at it. It looked really cool. It's called Super Better. So it's something you can buy the app on your phone and use that game to help you feel better. And I liked how she put it. She went through the over the 5 regrets, top regrets that people have when they're dying. You know, they ask people when they're dying what are their top 5 regrets, and she kind of switched that around. So the first one is, I wish I hadn't worked so hard. So she termed this post-traumatic growth. So these are her 5 things that she calls post-traumatic growth. So again, putting that positive slant instead of post-traumatic stress disorder, right? We got post-traumatic growth. So instead of, I wish I hadn't worked so hard, it's, I'm not afraid to do what makes me happy. And the second one was, I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. So instead she has, I feel closer to my friends and family. And the third one was, I wish I had let myself be happier. So the reverse of that is, I understand myself better. I know who I really am now. And then the fourth one is, I wish I'd had the courage to express my true self. Instead, I have a new sense of meaning and purpose. And then the fifth one, and the top 5 regrets of the dying, was, I wish I'd lived a life true to my dreams instead of what others expected of me. I'm better able to focus on my goals and dreams. So I'm going to just share those with you. And let's see if I can. I do have a few other little things that I can share that, if you can still see my screen, but just something. So I couldn't see the notes when I was talking to you all, but this was something that when I was preparing to do this webinar for you all, I actually got a few emails that were totally related to what I was going to be talking with you about, and one of them was, and all of these are from the Hilton Johnson Productions, and so he said, you know, I got an email from this company, and this is what it said: research links financial stress to high blood pressure, depression, fatigue, insomnia, digestive ailments, and overeating. I mean, I know that you know that they overlap, they're intertwined, they affect, you know, when one area we're suffering, it affects all the other areas. So I just love that, oh my gosh, this just fit in perfectly. And then another one on financial stress. So many people who experience financial stress turn to food and addictive substances for comfort. Instead, try exercising. It will help your body reduce stress hormones and take your mind off your financial situation. Again, those two were linked. Like I shared with you in my personal story, how I came about to even make a change for myself physically came from studying finances, actually. Here's one on social wellness. So research shows that families who eat together are less likely to have their children abuse drugs, engage in violence, and are more emotionally stable. That was something that when I worked with families in child abuse prevention and helping families with effective discipline methods, and that was kind of a basic thing. A lot of these families, they didn't really share a meal together. They would all eat at separate times or in separate areas of the house, doing other things, and I really saw the shift when I taught them to get together as a family, do things together, play a board game together, there you go, do something fun. I remember one family said one of their things that they came up with that they wanted to do was to look at photographs. So that was one of their activities of family time, is looking at photographs together. And just all those little things, it's those little things that can make the big difference. So I think we should, I'm still a little, but we got time for questions. If you got any questions here.
Yeah, so it looks like we don't have any questions right now. Please feel free to type in if you have one. And if not, you're always free to email Yvonne directly at her email address if you have any questions regarding the presentation or any questions you'd like to ask her at that time. So not a problem if there are none at this time. All right, anything else, Yvonne, you wanted to add before I kind of give them information about the CEs?
I'm sure there is, but nothing's coming to mind. Yeah, and I wish I was in a different setting. I apologize for, I think the audio may have been somewhat of an issue.
No problem.
Hopefully I can be in a better setting to give you more information, because I definitely had a lot more. I don't have my notes in front of me.
No problem. Yvonne, do you want to just share your email again for the audience, just so they have it?
Sure.
Or you can share it out louder.
I have the Coach Yvonne at gmail.com, or they can also email me at Yvonne at 3degreesofwellness.com. That's YVONNE at the number 3degreesofwellness.com.
Okay.
And I don't know if you could see that slide. That also has my phone number. And that's a business line, so it's not for texting. 949-313-7071.
Perfect. And thank you again, Yvonne, for speaking with us today. Appreciate your time, and it was great information. So again, here's Yvonne's contact information. Feel free to email or call her with any additional questions. And so the participants, so whoever signed in and participated in today's webinar, if you can go to the following website, the following website will prompt you to create an account. Or if you have any additional questions, you can write us at ceuevents@sovhealth.com. And that is a typo, so it's sovhealth.com. But all of you that participated in today's webinar will be receiving an email in about a week with this information as well, with a copy of the webinar as well as how to obtain your CE event or CE unit. So since there are no questions, I'd like to conclude the webinar and thank everyone again for joining us today. As a reminder, we do have monthly webinars for Sovereign Health. Email us if you're interested in doing a webinar with us as well. We typically do them the third week on Wednesdays from 11 to 12. Today was 12 to 1, but around that time. So if you are interested, please don't hesitate to email us. And thank you again, and have a wonderful day.